Welcome to Vayse, a podcast about weird stuff. I'm Peter C. Hine, and as always, I'm joined by my old friend and co-host. He's the Ace of Wands, the King of Cups of decaf. Some people say he's a star, some people say he's a magician, some say he's a fool, and some say he's the devil. But to me, he's just the man I like to hang with. It's Mr. Stephen James Buckley.
Thank you. I knew you'd get fool in there somehow.
Yeah. That was I built everything else around that I had to get.
You old card. Honestly,
Ooh, I'm
tempted to come round and deck you for that. I'll stop now.
Okay, so we have a guest tonight. Our guest is an artist, a tarot reader, and a flower herbalist. She was one of the official tarot readers at the Brit Awards in 2023. She's the director of the Art Esoteric Residency Oracular Spectacular. She's the resident card reader, flower essence practitioner, and workshop facilitator at She's Lost Control and Blessed Stories in London. And she's the creator of the Clarity Tarot deck. It's Bel Senlle. Welcome, Bel. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm great. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Oh, it's a real pleasure. For the listeners, there is a bit of... I have met Bel before and in real life as well. We actually met on the course that Mark Vincent was giving back in 2022, I think it was. And Mark's been a guest on Vayse as well. Mark Vincent, he was quite an early guest. I think we got him in early on. And we talked a little bit about the course then. I think it was Sigils and Servitors was the course that we were doing there.
At Treadwell's.
That's right, yeah, Treadwell's in London.
Treadwell's, yeah.
Yeah, and we I think all of the class went for like a sort of like a celebratory drink afterwards, and that was when I spoke to you, and you talked a little about that. I don't think at that point that the Clarity deck had been released. I don't know if it, or certainly not in England.
It was released only in Spanish. You're right. It was only but in English it came out in 2023. Yeah. And at that point, I was interested in your work, and I'd looked it up online and that kind of thing. And then like 2 years passed, and then when I was having like quite a rough time a few months ago, I randomly had a dream that I had a card reading done by Bel. And it's just a very sort of innocuous dream that in this dream, Bel was there, and it was just very like friendly, and there was like a card reading, and I can't remember what the reading was in my dream, but I just remember I woke up and I thought, yeah, that's quite an obvious sign of something. Often my dreams are quite, obscure or weird, but that had a definite I have to get in touch. So I got in touch with Bel and got a reading done a couple of months ago. And it was a really, really good reading. I've got to say, I think it was the best that I've ever had. It was just very, very intuitive. It all made a lot of sense to me. It spoke to me a lot. I took pages and pages of notes, and I've been working through it since. So it was really, really good. That pretty much brings us up to date on that. And I really appreciate you coming tonight. And I was kind of wondering how you first got into tarot reading, and what made you want to start. First of all, thank you. I feel very honored that that it was helpful. I think that's really the reason why I do what I do. So yeah. Thank you. I am very glad to hear this. So I think, to be honest, my family are very much into cards. We are all, we love playing cards, and we love playing with cards. We are. I don't know. We have this thing of every Sunday or every family meeting, we just drink coffee or whatever, and we just play cards. So it's my dad is Spanish, and it's something that happens with the Spanish side of the family. And I think that really got me into cards, and since I'm a kid, I really relate with tarot in a very playful, curious way.
So I think that's when everything started. Then on a more formal kind of way, like properly tarot came into my life when I was 17. I found a tarot book on the street. And I
Right.
yeah,
Wow.
it was a very weird thing, because I found out this book, which to be fully honest, I don't remember the name of the book, because I read the book. It was based on like an Egyptian tarot deck. Of course, the deck wasn't Egyptian, like there isn't such a thing at all. But the book was kind of like this tarot deck from Egypt and stuff like that. And I just started to read it. So I went to buy my first tarot deck. I bought the Rider-Waite-Smith, a very awful edition, but I just got my first, like a very cheap one. And like I just started immediately to read for people, because I wanted to try, I mean, not for money or anything. I just started to read for my friends and people I knew, just to try the things from the book. It was a very predictive kind of book. And when I was reading, I do remember this. I was at the university. I was reading for someone, just practicing, and someone stole my bag with the book inside the bag, and everything else, like my keys, my wallet, absolutely everything. So I had to come back home, and I remember I came back only with the deck in my hands, because I was reading when this happened. So I thought, okay, like the book, I was nearly finished with that book anyway, and I can't remember the name, of the book. And I just decided to go and buy another book and another deck. And that's when everything started. Like I immediately went into the Marseille Tarot and playing cartomancy more than the Rider-Waite. The Rider-Waite's more new to me. So
it's like the universe gave it to you, and then the universe was like, right, okay, you've got all you need from this now, I'm going to take it away.
I like to think that whoever stole your bag saw the book and just chucked it back onto the street, and then someone else came along and picked it up.
I secretly hope the person that stole my bag kind of thinks, oh gosh, I'm going to be cursed or something like that because of finding a tarot book.
Did you find a connection with the cards straight away, or did it take a while to develop?
No, 100%. It was straightforward. Like I was studying arts, visual arts at university. And for me, the tarot has always been extremely visual. Like it's a visual tool. So to me, it was just more of the same, really. I kind of thought I was doing like collage, like putting pieces together and then shuffling and putting another piece and making another piece of art. So I never, it always came very easily.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that struck me when I was doing when you were doing the reading for me, was the way that you did it visually, was, almost like a direction of movement through the cards. And the way that you described things to me was from a very, very visual angle, which is different to a lot of the people that I've been to before. Because I've been to the various shops in London and had my cards read there, and it often is almost like quite a mechanical thing. This is the Emperor, this means this is the Two of Cups, this means that. But when I was looking at the cards with you, I could see the story, I could see the flow, of things as you were telling the reading. I could see exactly what you meant, but I could also see the way in which it felt like the truth to me, like it felt like things were moving in a certain direction and so on. And that was really quite different for me, and I really, really enjoyed that.
At least for me, I think that style or that method is the one that comes more easily, or I don't like the word natural, but let's say kind of more organic or something like this, because there are other methods that I would say they just don't come easily to me. For example, I'm really attracted to like the opening of the keys, like from the Golden Dawn, like I love that kind of stuff. I really, and of course I can do it. It's not that I cannot, but I can do it from a very technical perspective. I don't think I flow with it as much as I flow with other stuff. I think, I get very technical in the sense of like, okay, I need to add the numbers and then this card gets activated and this one, so it's not something that it's like, okay, what's going on,
Yeah. I mean, it feels like that with a lot of magic, doesn't it? You've got the contrast between what feels instinctive and comes to you through intuition compared to what comes through ritual and sort of ordered, spells and set out strict rituals and that kind of thing, and that there's a huge spectrum between people who have to follow every word of the Lesser Key of Solomon exactly right, and then you get some people who just grab a piece of wood and start telling the future with it and that kind of thing, and there's everything in between. When you were growing up, did you have any other attraction before tarot to any sort of magic or anything supernatural like that?
Yes. Before I answer that, I just want to add something else to that, because you said something that for me was quite interesting, which is I just think that sometimes when people get so fixated with technical stuff, sometimes they forget to be critical with what they are actually learning and doing, as in like, let's say with the thing with meanings, for me, Kim's meanings come more through context. And I know it's a very twisted thing to say, but like common sense. I know common sense is not such a, I don't think there is such a thing as common sense really, but like it really comes from something that pay attention to what you see and pay attention to what is, what are the functions of the things that you just have in front of you. Like maybe you have a sword and it will have a specific function if you have a sword in your hand, and you are talking to someone, or, we will both feel different if we are holding a sword or a cup and we are sharing a moment. So some things it's like, what's the purpose of just learning, from a mechanical point of view, that I don't know, that the that the Empress can be this or that, and then it's like, but does it make sense today? Now what, like, so yeah, just to say that.
Yeah. And that seems like quite like an artist's point of view as well, or I mean, I think like speaking to like Buckley, like a musician, because a lot of people can be extremely technically gifted, like learning all the scales, being able to play like 20 notes per second or really whatever, but they can't write a song. They can't move people, they can't engage with your emotion. And that's the same with art. It doesn't have to be sort of the finest brush strokes and the most realistic painting that will be the one that captures something in your imagination or moves your heart in some way.
Absolutely. I do think, that techniques are very important, and methods and things like that. That's why I even learn things that genuinely I'm not sure I will ever use in relation with tarot, like in practical terms. I think it really shows, when you see when you are listening to a musician, for example, that has the techniques with someone who doesn't. But if we just stay with that and we are not allowing, as you say, some sort of, okay, what's your thing? What? Maybe it's not what you learned, or maybe it's just a part of that and not all. So with tarot, it's the same for me. So
I think it's like you've got to learn the rules in order to break them, and it's when you break them that the fun starts.
Yeah, exactly. No, when I coming back to that question of like, if when I was a kid or younger or something, I don't think I have, to be honest. Like, I don't think in terms of magic in itself, I did have some like like servitors around me, like I
right.
think I had like some, I don't know, some beings that I was talking to when I was young. And I really come from a very Catholic family. So I went to a Catholic school and I took my christening, I think it's in English.
Your christening, and your first communion and
my
confirmation
communion,
and all that.
my confirmation. Like I did the whole road, So I would say that was my kind of magic, if there is something related to that.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about that quite a lot because I was also raised Catholic, and I think obviously it means different things to different people, but for me, it definitely instilled into me some degree of mysticism and some degree of like like an experience or an idea of the numinous, like of something greater and something other than what we see in front of us. And then for me, I also felt it quite destructive in some ways, because it was quite restrictive. But then I think different people take different things from it. And plus you were in Argentina as well then, weren't you? So I don't know if it's exactly the same as it is here, where it's, it was very much, when I was a kid, it was very much just like, almost like something that people kind of had to do, like a lot of people were going through the motions. A lot of people would just turn up to church on a Sunday and that would be it, and there wasn't a lot, I didn't feel a lot of spirit in it.
Yes, I think for me, it was just very a family thing. Like, again, the family that I was raised with, the Spanish family, they come from I don't know if you heard of Santiago's path, Santiago's way. It's a pilgrimage in the north of Spain, which is a very Catholic famous pilgrimage.
Yeah.
They are from the last stop of where the path ends. So I think that is very linked to them, as in I don't know, they do pray, they do have the figures, and it's something I still have here. Like, you should see my altar, because to me, England in this sense, it's it really opened my doors to I don't know, visit very folkloric festivities. Like I'm obsessed now with May Day and the Boss Morris, the Morris dancing, and all this kind of stuff. So I'm very, very intrigued, and I think now I have a mixture of things. Like I have the Virgin Mary, and I also have different stuff from here. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's really interesting though, because it's difficult, I suppose, for me and Buckley to see England like that from the outside, because when I travel to other places, the first thing I do is always look up their folklore and that sort of thing. But then I don't really spend a lot of time doing it in England, really, even that all these sort of things all around us all the time, all these different weird celebrations and stuff, just kind of pass me by a lot.
I became more interested in the folklore, like Latin American folklore, now that I'm here, than when I was there. And I think for me, England is the place that, I don't know, but nourished all that interest, Seeing people, my partner, he is English, and he doesn't really care at all about the Morris dancing or whatever. He really doesn't care. And we were in Ely, in near Cambridge, and we were seeing the people, the Morris dancers dancing, and I just started to cry. For me, it was very moving to see that connection of a group of people who have been doing this for centuries, just in a random corner, in a random place like Ely. And the linked with I don't know, but the connection with the public space, which is something that I'm very intrigued to what happens here in England with that, how people do not really use that much the public space as we do.
Not anymore, no.
Not anymore. And like, so for me, it was like very moving, I was like, wow, this is pure magic, what they're doing. It's like, wow. And my boyfriend like, what the fuck? Like, with the Morris dancers. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't think Morris dancers have got the best rep, really. I think that they've got like it's not particularly sort of sexy. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's just sort of like it's not quite the same as like there's other sort of occult practices that are a bit more sort of mysterious and cool and weird. But Morris dancers are just seen as being like a bit shit. Like
I know.
If we've got any Morris dancer listeners,
I'm sure we do,
who want to contradict me on that, I am sorry, and I'm just going by what I've heard.
I think we need to do it, Buckley. I think we need to make Morris dancing sexy again.
Sexy.
Well, we
should say they are activating their like kundalinis anyway in this stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like tantric Morris dancing.
Yeah.
Tantric Morris dancing.
Dancing around the phallic symbol and all that.
Yeah. The maypole.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've never really thought about Morris dancing in that way. Sort of. This is new to me. But I think
blown my world wide open.
Yeah, it would be interesting to get a Morris dancer on the show and just say, hey, Morris dancer, what's your
yeah.
Well, I can send you.
That for season 3.
I can send you loads of Instagram pages because my algorithm went all the way through. Like it's full of them now. It's full of them. Now you should see. It's like rocks, like stones, English stones, and Morris dancers. That's all it was.
Yeah,
you really have gone native.
Well, as long as you don't combine the two and start throwing rocks at Morris dancers, then I think we'll be okay.
Just to come back to tarot, or how,
of course,
when like to me, of course, because I'm a tarot reader, when I started to read with it, I was like, okay, I never questioned that it has so many European medieval imagery, as in like kings and queens and knights and pages, that the pages really look like Morris dancers, but like or these kind of archetypes or characters, historical characters, and it wasn't like until I remember this, but I had to go and vote because of my citizenship, I vote for Spain. So I had to go and vote. Right. And it wasn't until one day that I was like, for God's sake, in Spain they do have monarchy, because in Argentina we don't. So for me it was like, what is this thing? As in, like, I finally connected. I stopped seeing a Queen of Wands as your, I don't know, the main source of your creativity, and then it's like, no, a queen is, people have queens, like they actually exist and people pay taxes to them, like they are actually real people. So it was like, oh God. And then again, like I made the deck of my tarot deck, where I kind of got rid of the of those words of that scheme of the monarchy. Like I just renamed them. Nothing too radical, but let's say instead of a king, to have a guide and things like that. So if people would choose to work with a medieval deck, great, because those images are still perfect for illustrating nowadays topics still. But yes, in case someone would like to use a deck which they don't have those constructions and stuff.
Was that a deliberate decision to remove the king, the queen, and the page and the knight? Was that a decision to sort of remove that hierarchy from the cards
as well? Sorry, in the whole deck, like you will find that they don't have. Well, to be honest, in the Spanish edition, it's like this. In the Spanish edition, they don't have numbers. None of the cards have numbers.
Oh, okay.
And in the very first edition, they don't have numbers and they don't have names. So the only thing they have are just, just like the drawings, the imagery. The English edition, unfortunately, it does have the names. And that's because it was a decision of the publisher. They were like, it's great, but I think your idea is too crazy for the majority of the public. Like, people will want to know what, like, that this card, it's a 3 of cups and it's not something else.
It's interesting because a lot of the cards I can see what they are, some of them will have like 3 cups on them or whatever. Some of them I don't think I would have got from looking at it without the name on it. I think, like, was it the Emperor, I think, which is like a sort of vortex or something. And I think in that case, without the names on it, I probably would have used it more of as an oracle deck than a tarot deck, maybe in those sort of circumstances.
I get what you mean. Like, I mean, it's true. If you see the Emperor image, which looks like a square inside of another square and another square and another square, and if it doesn't say Emperor, you can come up with whatever you want. And that for me was still kind of like the idea behind it, as in like, it's an emperor if you know it's an emperor, but if it's not.
So it kind of encourages almost like a more of a free form way of interpreting things. Again, I'm always likening things to music, but it's almost like the idea of when you get an instrument that doesn't have the traditional like keyboard layout, so it's not telling you which notes to play in which order, so you kind of have to relearn how you think about music because you've not got things laid out in exactly the way that you're used to or whatever. So it kind of, and I think when you have something like that, it kind of encourages creativity because you're moving outside of the prescribed boundaries and you kind of end up doing your own thing and finding your own way rather than just sort of following the same path that everyone else has. So I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That was like the main idea, that like people can, let's say, engage with the images and just play with them, really, as if, if you see the deck, it doesn't have, for example, borders. Like, it doesn't have delimited borders, like, so people can more easily blend in or integrate what's going on in the visual narrative or the landscapes. So that was also one of the reasons why even the characters are really ambiguous. It's like, you will see tiny people that looks like they look like the figures that the kids make up, like just with the sticks, like nothing with so much detail. So you can come up with the idea of, that's me when I was a kid, or that's my grandfather, or that's a dream, or that's my spirit, or this is an angel, or whatever you want to add to that.
And that makes them great to meditate on because you've got that almost ambiguity within there. It also removes any that there's not really any male or female figures. There's not really old or young figures within it. It's all quite ambiguous in that way as well.
Absolutely. That was a decision, let's say, that I made, because I thought the decks that I was mainly working with, they do have loads of details, and I think it's great. I do use them. It's not that I'm like, oh, this is why I only use this deck. Like, no, I use all of them. I love them. But yes, it was just because I wanted to try something and see if it worked and see how it would work. So for me, it was like some people that I was reading cards for, they would take the visual things very, very literal. So let's say, I don't know, they are seeing an emperor, which usually in most decks you will see a white man sitting on a throne. Like that's the most common figure. And that white man might be like an adult, let's say, someone, I don't know, in its 50s, kind of. So most of the people would immediately associate that card with either a father, a grandfather, a boss, a partner, if they are in that age, or if their partner is their age, or, so it would be very straight, like very direct, the association. And sometimes it's very useful. That's why I use those decks. And, and sometimes it's like, some people don't really like to, because they can't see themselves there.
So you've talked about the mechanics of your deck and how it works and stuff. I wondered, how do you think divination tarot works? Have you got an idea or a way of sort of explaining it, or is it just something you don't think about too much because it just happens? Like, have you got...
So, it's a great question. It's the $1 million question, I would say.
This is it.
It's like...
if you can answer this, we're all going to be big.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the recipe of Coca-Cola? But I kind of think, it's like, for me, I like to explain to people that I think tarot or any divinatory tool we use, I think they are like technologies for imagination. So in that sense, how I relate that, I think we lead the thing to, let's say, we use the symbol or we use a sign for us to signify what we need, what we want, what we expect, or whatever.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean, it can be a reader. Therefore, if it's someone else, that it's not you, the person who is receiving the message, you can get new information that maybe you are not even aware of, because there is someone else bringing up their own imagination, knowledge, etc. So it's
almost like dream language, isn't it? It's almost like that sort of language of symbols and sort of the things that come up in dreams. It's like
like
similar to that, I guess.
I feel very attracted by divination, and in this sense there is a big part. That's why I said it's like, it's the $1 million question, because this is for me my logical answer that I give to that. There is a big part of that I get surprised. I really, and it's the main reason why I do it. It's because I always get surprises. It's like when I'm what the fuck? Like, why is this answering something so, I don't know, specific? Or how can things sometimes develop in a way, even when you are actually not seeing the answer in the moment, and then you see it through times. And it's like, wow, like it's, I don't know. It is crazy.
Do you always trust it? Or do you think that there are times like, what, I guess I'll rephrase that question. Why should we trust divination? Like, are there any times when it could be wrong, or it could be lying to you, or anything like that? Or am I just being paranoid?
I don't trust anything 100%. to be honest. So,
Yeah.
I
That's
think
a good start.
yeah, I always tell that to the people, to be like, I don't know if you remember, Peter, but I tend to say at the beginning of every session, you don't need to agree with everything I say. I can say things that don't make sense to you, and that's welcome. It's fine. Like, bring your discernment into the table, because I don't know you. You don't know me. You don't need to put your life in the hands of anybody. And yeah, I think, divination in itself, I don't know if it can be trusted, because divination at the end of the day, it's made by us. Like, let's say it's tarot in it by itself, tarot or whatever tool for divining that we're using. At the end of the day, it's just paper in this case. No, it's just a game. It's just a pack of cards, and it's us, the ones who are interpreting it. So yes, I can be wrong. I can come up with something that maybe doesn't make sense. Maybe I'm not an expert on something. For example, let's say me, Bel, no? If I have to buy a house, most of the times I would prefer to go with an advisor, like with someone who is more into the field or the realm of knowing the housing market and knowing what do I need and, those kind of stuff, than actually just going to the cards. I go to the cards when I actually, when I'm lacking something, even from the people who are experts. So therefore, we enter into a realm where still we know, okay, let's play. That's what I say to everyone, especially when people come to the cards or to me with questions that are very life-changing, such as shall I buy a house? Shall I move to a different country? Shall I leave my partner? Shall I whatever? So it's great. Let's play. It's like gambling. That's what I like to tell them. Let's play. Let's see. And if we're doing this from a place of integrity and also with the intention of getting curious and inspired and somehow still having fun with it. And I'm not saying fun in a way of like to take this in a superficial way. I think it's great, but if we are coming, to the tool in a very desperate and bad state, I would say let's not trust everything 100%. Let's take time. Let's give it time.
I think that's a really good way of looking at it, to be honest, because I wasn't sure about this question really in terms of whether to ask it you or not, because I didn't know whether it would sort of come across as perhaps overly cynical or, but I think it is an important question to ask. And I think that I'm glad that you didn't just say, oh no, you've got to trust it because it is or whatever. It's good that you kind of have like a balanced view in that. And I think, that's given me a lot to think about. Really.
Absolutely. Also, I don't know why, but this example came to my mind. One of my friends just had a reading with someone. It was very recent, and she then came to me saying, I'm freaking out because the person said I'm going to die when I'm 72.
Oh, Jesus. Right.
And I said to them, okay, first of all, we don't know this person. Who is this person to make such a claim? I have no idea who this person is. Why are we giving so much power to what someone says, over your life? We don't know really. And then I asked them, can I ask you something? Did you put any boundaries, as in the sense of like, did you come up with a topic, a question, or, did you come up with something for them to then come back to you with such a claim? Or it was just, and they said, no, I just sat there and said I wanted a reading. So I said, okay, my friend, I'm not saying it's your fault. No, not at all. Of course it's not. But I do think it's a good exercise for us to learn that if we are going to put, if we're just going with someone and read me, whatever, and we are not like, I would like to set up some boundaries here. This is the topic I would like to work on. Therefore, if your topic is about work and the reader wants to talk to you about when are you going to die, it's like, hey, I didn't give you permission to talk about that. Why are you going that way?
Do you think that tarot is supernatural? Like, do you think it comes from beyond or from the divine? Or do you think it's something that's somehow more situated within something inherently human?
I love the question. I would say it really depends on who is playing with it. And what's I don't want to add that to tarot, because we will all have different perspectives, where some people think in the tarot kind of leave certain beings, let's say beings, or as if tarot has its own servitors somehow, or its own egregore. And they even use that, for example, for readings, for magic work, rituals, etc. And for some people, it's a tool for self-reflection, or it's a tool for projection. And they use that in the same way they would use, I don't know, other kind of psychological drawings or things for projecting information, where they would say, no, there is nothing supernatural about that. At least for me, I really try to pursue like an extraordinary moment when I'm reading for someone, or when I'm using tarot. And in that sense, I do think there is something happens that for me, it becomes like supernatural, like it becomes divine. And tarot is not the only thing I use for that. For example, I'm sure maybe if you are a musician, as you said you are, I'm sure there are moments where you are playing an instrument and you kind of feel you are being played, or you kind
constantly
of feel,
all the time. I don't know what the hell I'm doing most of the time. Like, I just
exactly. And for me, when I'm dancing, for example, which is one of my hobbies, or when I'm painting, I'm not going to say it happens to me all the time. I really wish. But
I was exaggerating there, just trying to build up a bit of personal mythology.
But yes, there are specific moments where that happens, where I feel, wow, that's not ordinary anymore. It's extraordinary.
And when you notice it, that's what stops it.
Yes.
Like when you think like, oh, I'm channeling now, then it's like, stop channeling. Yeah,
I know.
It's like a dream, isn't it?
I know. Same with tarot. It's like sometimes I'm reading and the second I'm like, did I say that? It's gone forever.
Yeah.
I cannot come back to that state. Yeah.
I'm going to throw you another hardball question here. I've heard people say about tarot and about other forms of divination, kind of fortune telling, etc. That it gives you like a series of vague answers which can be applied to sort of any situation. I don't necessarily believe that. Maybe it's true for some people, but not everyone. I don't know. But what are your thoughts on that? Like, how would you, if someone came to you and said, tarot is just, came to you and said, tarot is just applying vague sentiments to sort of that will fit with any situation. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, it's a great question. What I think is there are certain divination tools used in very specific contexts that are very vague, or they can be very vague. One and very easy example of that is like you grab a newspaper and you read the horoscope, I think.
Yeah.
And like, it is a divination tool still, but it can be quite vague. Or I run this residency, the Oracular Spectacular, where what we do is we create oracles with non-conventional materials, like with very weird stuff.
What
basically
kind of thing?
So we create systems for divination, and we create our own specific set of symbols, let's say, our own constellation of symbols within the system. And it really depends on the materials that we are using, because it won't be the same to be using music, for example, where the symbols or the signs will be rhythmical, or will have to be with something that's more abstract, let's say, than if we are using, I don't know, coins that we found on the street, So it will be very different. Anyway, the point in relation to this is, well, some of these oracles can be vague. Some oracles are the opposite, are extremely specific. And it's the same if we are talking specifically about tarot. I would say the same, we will have methods and we will have readers that are a little bit vague, and we will have methods, contexts, whatever, and readers that are the opposite, are extreme, like very specific, that can just point at a name and a surname and a specific day and hour for things, So I wouldn't generalize. That's what I would answer to someone. Like, I just think if someone just comes to me and it's like, oh, I just think divination is very vague because people say something that can resonate with everyone. And I would say, okay, probably you are not familiar enough with divination to make such a claim,
Yeah, I mean, I think in some circumstances as well, sort of the purpose of the divination is not necessarily to give a person an answer, but to set certain things in motion in their mind, which will then lead them to find an answer. Or, it's not as I understand it, it's not necessarily as clear cut as here's your answer, what's the answer to this? Here's the answer. It's more like sort of almost it can lead to change, or it can lead to kind of it can set things in motion or change the way that a person thinks or interprets something, which will then lead them to find some kind of answer or lead them to discover something about themselves. I don't think it's as, I think that kind of devil's advocate example I gave you is almost like a very reductionist, kind of oversimplified way of looking at it. And it's actually, you've got to kind of almost allow things to happen in a slightly non-linear way. And then, I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, but I agree with you. And that's when, for me, with methods or readers that are really, really seeking for the 100% accuracy. It's like they really want to be like spot on constantly, and like I love practicing that. And I think it's very useful at the end of the day. But I agree with you. I just think sometimes it's like the things what the person might actually be needing at that time to listen or to hear, to receive, might not be so specific.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of almost like a creative prompt, as if like, there's a series of images and you've got to put some of yourself into it. Also, this is kind of still on topic, but there's a game which I've played quite a lot, and it's a card game. It just this has just reminded me of that. It's called Dixit. I don't know if you've ever played that.
I've heard of it, but I have never
Yeah,
played.
Yeah. So you've got all these like really beautiful cards. It's like, I think it's a French person who designed them, and they're kind of really weird and like dreamy, and they kind of you've got to sort of almost like interpret them, and then the other person on your team has to guess. You've got to like describe it, and you've got to make it so it's not so vague that no one gets it, but it's the other one person will understand it. It's a cool game, but you should check it out because it reminds me of if you said you're into card games, and it kind of reminds me of in that kind of way of like interpreting it. Like it's Dixit, and it's really nice. I mean, it's worth it for the cards alone because they just look gorgeous. They're like these nice big cards, and they've just got all these like really strange, dreamy kind of scenes on. And then you could just look at the cards. You could just own it as some cards to look at. And I bet there's some really cool divination stuff that you could do with them.
I will definitely check.
When I was first getting into magic and was discovering all these things, I had the idea, which sounds like a bit like what you guys do at Oracular Spectacular about divination, which was in order to, as a tool for divination, all you need is an object that you're going to use for the divination. You need a system of randomization that you can apply to that object, and you need a system of interpretation that you can place upon that randomization. And then my idea was that the stricter your system, the more mechanical your system, the less space there is for intuition, and you kind of almost like strangle the magic kind of out of it a little bit. But then if you have a looser system, less mechanical, there's perhaps too much intuition, and your answers become too vague, to be useful. And I think that tarot does find a good mid ground within all that, in that there's countless systems that can be applied upon it, but it does have that wide intuitive sweep as well.
Absolutely. Sometimes I wonder if it's, when I compare tarot, I do agree with you, but my wonder is when I compare tarot with some of the oracles that the people at the Oracular Spectacular invent. I wonder if tarot is so great because of how many years all of us, we have been, adding and adding. And I'm like, maybe what these oracles that are just kind of new, like us, like coming in, need is just centuries of people all over adding more meanings and more complexities to them.
Yeah. And also as a sort of egregore idea, as in so many people believe in it, like for me, because I was raised Catholic and because, a lot of magic was seen to be like the devil's work, tarot always has almost like a kind of spooky edge to it. So when I bought my first Rider-Waite-Smith deck, I bought a spooky one that kind of like darkened colors, that made me think, that made me feel what the magic of tarot to me felt like, was that sort of slightly scary, slightly dark thing, and that helps me get into that space with it, because for me that's kind of what tarot is, and I guess that's slightly different for everyone.
Yes, absolutely. I in these years, I have to say, I had all sorts of people coming in with all sorts of ideas about tarot, like people who, after a reading, thought they were witched or cursed, or people who then wrote me as like, it was you who did the things happen, like you actually made the things happen and come to life, or people who the opposite, as in like you changed my life, tarot changed my life, for the better. Or it's crazy, what we all add to paper. It's beautiful. I think that's when I'm like, oh, I love the human race. It's just great.
Yeah. So the Clarity deck is like a really, really beautiful deck. I know. So in the English version, am I right that there's only one style of it? Because in the Spanish version, you've got a light deck and a shadow deck, don't you? Which is, I think that the light is black figures on white card, and the shadow is white figures on dark card. And in the English edition, oh, there you go. Yeah, that's the light deck. And then in the English edition, there's only the shadow deck, which I really like. I would have chosen the shadow deck anyway, because that's just, that's got that spooky kind of edge to it. But how did you come to create that? Like, what made you want to create a tarot deck, and what was your process?
So the reason for making the two decks, it was actually a friend's idea. Like because when I was drawing the cards, like, first of all, the reason why I made the deck was because I'm a reader, so I wanted to try some things as like, the borderless design, like the making something that it's very easy to integrate the visual narrative of what's going on. I wanted the characters to be non-monarchical and, to be ambiguous. All the things that we already talked about. So that was the main reason. And then I made the cards like manually. I just drew them on a piece of paper with a pen, so nothing complicated. So they were looking like that. Like they were looking black and white, like with the background being white. And then a friend that was the one that helped me to how do you say this, as like to, let's say, to scan the images into the laptop to render the images. She was the one that for some reason was like, oh, what happens if we exchange the colors? And that's when they appeared like this. And she was like, I actually prefer this one. So I decided to print just one edition of both and see, because my brain went just like, okay, I want to use both together.
Yeah.
And I want to see what happened, like mixing up the shadows and the light aspects, and see what would make people choose from a deck, like, I don't know, a card like this and a card like that, and how they would interact. So that's when it came like that. And then I've just noticed that some people really wanted both, or like for doing the same, so I kept printing both. But yes, in the English edition we only have the black edition, and that's because it was a decision of Watkins, which is the publisher. If everything goes okay, I'm not really sure, but if everything goes okay, by next year I will have a new edition which will be transparent.
Oh, nice.
Wow. Okay,
that'll be cool.
Because I was just thinking the black and the white, it almost adds like a whole extra dimension to it, because you've got the inversions obviously, but then you've got another dimension of which of the colors. So that's a cool way of doing it. And then with the transparent ones, it's like, wow, that's a whole other. That's getting meta now. It's like, what's underneath it?
I really want one transparent.
You could superimpose them to make different images.
Yeah,
that's where we are going. Yeah. Found these girls, they were like, they just went crazy when I said, well, I think I want the transparent version. They were like, let's make it.
That's really amazing. Some of these images, like that, some of them are quite we talked about the ambiguity in there. Some of them are quite abstract, and some of them feel quite dark. Like the Fool which I'm holding up now, which none of the listeners will be able to see, but
I can see it.
Yeah, so Buckley can see it. But like, whereas the Fool in, say, the Rider-Waite-Smith feels very kind of optimistic. You know, they're setting out on a journey. They got that little dog and that pack on the back and whatever. What the Fool in the Clarity deck reminds me of a little bit is someone like laying face down in a pool or something, you know, like someone in the water or something like that. What inspired you on the imagery? Like, where did these images come from?
This is when I will become very witchy. But
okay, we love it. That's what we like.
This is when the thing will become very dark. But
perfect.
I have to say that when I was drawing the images, all that period for me, like I was working loads with tarot. But loads, as in like I was working for 2 different stores in Argentina, like esoteric shops in Argentina, where I was kind of having an office job, but doing tarot readings. So I was working, let's say, from 9 to 6, you know, every day, having like 7 people. Like,
clocking in and
yes, crazy. And I actually was ignoring that I just needed to stop working like that, like working so much with tarot. I started, I don't know why, but I went through a period where I would say I don't consider myself a psychic or like in the most common spread sense of the word psychic, as what people would imagine of a psychic. Or a medium, you know, as in like to talk to the dead, or I always use tarot for those kind of things. So I wouldn't consider myself that I can just do those things naturally or something like that. And at that time I was like things where let's say the veil of what's real and what's not and things like that, it was just non-existent. So I was even doing readings. I was, let's say, receiving information in very weird ways. As in like receiving, for example, numbers, names, surnames, you know, it's like very, very specific things. It was, for me, was like shocking, like something quite weird. And that's when it was during that period that I started to make these kind of weird beings that it's true, they look quite dark as the Fool, you know, or
I mean not necessarily like dark as in evil, that they have like, they look elemental, you know, they've got like they look like spirits or something like that, you know, they don't necessarily look human.
I had an experience that was quite weird. So I basically at the last part of drawing the deck and stuff like that, I decided to put everything on the wall on my living room and just have it there so I could easily come and modify what I thought it needed to be modified and stuff like that. And there was a day where I wasn't sleeping properly. And again, I was feeling quite disturbed maybe with these things. What my ex-partner from that time, I remember he was taking a nap, like sleeping or something, and I was there like in the living room with the drawings and stuff, and I was feeling there was like a cloud on the top of the living room. I cannot explain it in another way. I shared this with Mark when we went to the workshop, because I really thought, is this a servitor? Is this, you know, what was the cloud? And I do remember that like very, very vividly, like the sensation of the cloud. And I was, you know, seeing that thing. And out of nowhere, my ex-partner wakes up from his nap and comes into the living room, and he's like, the sensation here is very dense. It kind of looks like you have a cloud on the top of,
Wow.
and my ex-partner had nothing to do with this world. Like usually I'm in relationships with people who are not interested in all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, oh gosh, thank God you are seeing the cloud as well, and it's not just me, like I'm not crazy. So yeah.
Amazing. Wow.
I always
And
joke that I think it's the being that lives inside of the elemental thingies of the deck, you know.
And so the images, did they come to you in sort of visions from that time, or did you feel that you were channeling them, or how did those images arrive?
So I designed them in, let's say, I had different processes. But the first part for me was like that year, which was 2018. I was traveling loads. It was a year that for me was I had loads of travels. So I in each part, one of them was, for example, I went to Venice in Italy.
Yeah,
and it's full of water, of course. So I just went with a little notebook, and I was kind of imagining / seeing / channeling, whatever, kind of like all the cards of the waters. Like that's why you will find the guide of the water, like all this kind of like these characters, like the guides of the water. All of them, I drew them on the streets of Venice, for example, with the water. Then I had another trip where I went to Brazil, and I did the same, as in like I really connected. I'm very interested in like psychogeography and, you know, things related with the spaces and the beings in the spaces. And so, I went to Brazil, for example, and that's when I drew all the earthy cards, because I was in an island where I was seeing, the things. And I was kind of like, again, imagining, maybe channeling, maybe seeing or connecting or whatever, with the beings of the places. That's why you will find some things like this. And then when I put all together, because that was another process of like, okay, let's see if all this works. If it doesn't, it just was when I was having this very tricky period. Which luckily for me, I'm not in that period anymore. Like, unfortunately for my clients, but for me, I'm not in that period anymore, and I'm very lucky.
Was there anything behind the decision to make it black and white rather than color?
Oh yes, I was poor. Actually, like, it's true.
That's fair enough.
It's true. Like the thing was, I mean, my Spanish deck is independent. Like I self-published the project with a cooperative, which is it's just a very small printer, which it's people who lost their jobs and they came together and they made this beautiful project where they print stuff. And I wanted to do this with them or with any other project that for me felt aligned, let's say. I didn't feel comfortable with like printing in China and you know, importing 1,000 decks. And I kind of wanted the thing to, you know, I was like, if I sell 50 decks, I want this money to also go to nice people and people who need it. So when I started to see the costs, and not just the costs, but it was my first experiment doing a deck. So the first thing that I was doing, it had colors, but it's quite complicated when you do a small batch of things to get the same color afterwards, and you know it gets affected by the temperature. So I really tried, but then I thought, okay, in this specific way it just won't work. And I'm not an expert, like I'm an artist, not a designer. So I know it's similar, but it's just I don't have the same tools as designers have. So I just went with what was possible to not get frustrated.
It works with the spirit of the deck, though, you know, with it being quite stripped back in terms of the figures and the line drawings, you know, bringing everything back, it becomes quite striking. And it does, I think, allow for, you know, a certain amount of intuition to come through, because it's not as prescriptive as, say, the Rider-Waite Smith deck, where you're just being blasted by all these details, you know, like, and then there's like, oh, then there's a rabbit down by her feet, or, you know, there's a crayfish in the water, or what could that possibly mean? And that sort of thing. It takes it down to a much more, almost kind of a visceral sort of feeling when you look at the cards, which I really like.
Yeah, absolutely. I have had people saying to me, for example, that it's very clear. And I'm like, yes, it's called clarity, you know. It wasn't on purpose. It wasn't on purpose. It really wasn't on purpose. But, you know, it's this strange relationship between names and objects, like between the thing and how we name it. So I wasn't really thinking of the clarity, you know, for it to bring clarity or something. I just thought it was a name I wanted, and that was it. And then people say that because it's so straight to the point with the lines, and that it tends to be like that, which I think on one hand is great, it's useful, and on another hand, you know, for some people, maybe it won't work. Maybe they actually need way more symbols and details to, like, I don't know, fill an hour, for example.
I mean, it depends, doesn't it? Because I tend to prefer bright colours. I tend to like colours and things and stuff like that. But I really like the visuals on your cards. I think that they really work. And I was trying to work out what they reminded me of, and I think it's like doodles. You know, like if you've just got like a pad next to you and you're doodling. And I've always been a big fan of doodles and doodling, because I think it's that thing where you kind of almost you switch your brain off and just let your hand do the work, and then you end up coming up with some like really cool and weird things. There's probably a whole like school of like divination based on doodling that I don't know about yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely psychological interpretations, isn't there, of your doodles?
Yeah, it's like a what's the word for it? Automatic writing kind of thing. But it reminds me of the doodles in terms of the almost like the simplicity of it, and the black and white. I think the black and white kind of lends itself to that. And I think that kind of makes it more effective in a way, because it's like almost as if it's a direct doodle from the self-conscious, God, COVID brain, honestly. A direct doodle from the subconscious to the paper without any, you know, it's like the equivalent, again, going back to music, of like a really kind of overproduced piece of music that's got loads of like stuff going into it and layers of instruments and stuff like that. And here you've just got like the kind of almost like raw, naked kind of just the essence of it there. So I guess what I'm saying is your deck is essential.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Thank you for that.
There you go. You can put that on your review.
I was thinking, I don't know, but here, like listening to you, it made me think of something I discussed with Mark in terms of sigils, because, you know, I didn't do it on purpose, but coming back to this situation of, like, you know, sitting on a canal street in Venice, and, you know, trying to connect with the space, and trying to connect with the beings or the underwater ghosts or whatever, to try to condensate all of that in one card, for me was kind of like an exercise of crafting, or, you know, crafting a servitor or crafting a bean in a sigil, in a card in this case.
Yeah.
And it's very useful that the cards are so simple to draw, because nowadays, in some readings, not always, but when it's useful and when the person is also open to this kind of stuff, because, not everyone is open, but sometimes it's a great thing to do, in the sense of like, hey, you know what? Why don't you draw this card yourself on a piece of paper? And as a way of also sigilizing again let's say putting the sigil and inviting that being or that concept to be more present in your life.
Yeah, that's a really good.
Yeah,
good
you could.
point,
Someone could tattoo it as well.
There are loads of tattoos. Yes, people got them tattooed all over. I really like that. Also, that's something very beautiful. But because they are so simple, it's like sometimes people send me their own drawings with the afterwards, as in like they kind of make the characters engage with new environments or with new symbols or things like that. And it's a beautiful way to kind of like invite a new image into your life, which is kind of like trying to invite a new possibility or something like that. And sometimes, I mean, I know we can do this with every deck. It's not exclusive to tarot. It's just, I would say some decks would maybe invite you to be a little bit more punk and just do your thing, and maybe with other decks, maybe some of us, we feel, like this, we need to be respectful, or for example, with the Rider-Waite-Smith, that some people use it, connect still with the let's say with the beings of each of the cards following the correspondences, or the archangels following the correspondences of the Golden Dawn. And some people, it's like, I would never invoke the being of this card if it's not in this context with all these, other elements, and as in like within the context of a proper ritual performed by someone who knows and stuff.
Would you be able to do as a reading using your Clarity deck for the podcast, if possible, please?
Thank you. Absolutely. I went ahead of that and I picked up 3 cards already.
Fantastic.
So I have them here with me. I will show you the 3 of them. I'm sorry I don't have here with the English edition, but it's the same. They're exactly the same cards, and I will just translate the names. But the first one that appeared, just in case for the people who are listening, the question was, or the topic was, maybe a message for the next 6 months or so for the project. For the
podcast, So what do we do with Vayse for the next 6 months? Or
amazing. Amazing. So we received these 3 cards The first one would be called the essence of the air. Yeah. If we want to translate this card into more traditional, a more traditional setting of cards, it would be the Queen of Swords.
Okay.
I like to explain that an essence of the air, it's essence of the air, and maybe it has little or nothing to be anymore with the Queen of Swords. But yeah, it's just a very different archetype nowadays. But yeah. Anyway, essence of the air, Empress in the middle, and the Hierophant.
I love the art on that one as well.
Thank you. And the Hierophant. So one of the things that I was seeing when I saw the three of them together, first of all, with this essence of the air, which is basically, it's like heart, looks like a heart with wings, like in the middle of the chest. And I was thinking, as being the essence of the air, and we are talking about a podcast, about something that it's made with air, it's made with words and thoughts and all these kind of things. I like how in this essence of the air, I would say that maybe the essence of the podcast might be also ready to fly into something else as well, as in like to expand or to reach new horizons, we can say. I really like, as it's a heart, I know it might sound a little bit like cheesy or silly to say it, but I would say that maybe these new routes or these new places or perspectives or whatever, they might come from the heart, as in like from the main point of contact that probably put you both together to still do this, which is what keeps it alive, basically. It's like I mean, that makes a lot of sense, because obviously the podcast is based on our friendship and our you know, our curiosity that comes from within our love for this topic as well, you know, and the
and I think also the two wings, like you've got the heart in the middle and then the two wings either side, that to me sort of implies something in the middle, and then two like two people or two kind of you know, you've got two elements that are kind of making it happen, that are forged with love.
Absolutely.
But it is like it is, you know, it does have that kind of sort of almost essence of friendship to it, I think.
Absolutely. You see how in here we have, again, as we said, the heart, and then the same symbol reappears in the Empress. If you're seeing these tiny hearts there. And there,
I'm going to put a photo of this on our show notes so that everyone who's listening can see them as well. Yeah. Perfect. So what I was thinking, or something maybe that comes to my mind in terms of linking these symbols, which this one seems to be multiplied now, you know, into many hearts, not just a central one, but also wants to keep going into, like, just want to expand, basically. So what I was thinking is maybe the love for the podcast, you know, it's the main fuel for also sharing that love in different forms. As in, like, that. I'm just inventing, because it's not something that I can say we're seeing this visually, but maybe one of those can be, I would like to also have something written as, like, I don't know, some small publications, or maybe I would like to also meet in person, or which I'm saying this now, we will see, but because of the Hierophant, I think this is when these two cards become very linked. But before we go there, I just want to emphasize this, which is this thing that in the first card seems like just condensed in one, and it's very potent because it's a heart that it's filled. I don't know, like it's so wide, so it's very, very strong. Gets multiplied into different hearts that also start beating. Not all of them have the same size, and that's also something I like. You know, some of them look a little bit smaller, all others look bigger.
And of course, they are motivated by this, like I don't know, sparks or flowers or whatever. But they are maybe motivated in different ways. So I would say it's okay if maybe each of these projects, let's say, that come from this main one, it's okay if maybe some of them get more attention than others, or if some of them actually beat, faster or than others. So I wouldn't try to make them to just be the same as this one. They are different.
I really love that artwork from the Empress. And it reminds me of like looking at it in this context and like with my eyes sort of like in the right way, it looks like, when you get on a map when it shows the spread of something, like, have you seen, I don't know, the end of that first Planet of the Apes movie, the first of the sort of modern remakes, and like you see like one line goes to like one country and then from there loads of other lines come off, and it sort of spreads around the globe, and that's
like
kind of
on
like
the
that
plane.
heart. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's like the heart sort of like spreading round, and I was thinking like that's quite kind of like what we kind of want to do with the podcast is sort of spread that love and spread that curiosity. And it kind of, because the other weird thing is that the Empress has turned up for me in a lot of readings recently, and sometimes multiple times, in a single session, which has been quite interesting.
Absolutely.
It reminded me, the Empress card in this instance, of the idea of how we discussed this a bit with our last guest, Steph, about how we all contain multitudes and we all contain, there's like multiple facets to us, and you could apply that to the podcast, I guess, sort of the idea of making it into a multifaceted thing that isn't just a podcast.
Absolutely. I love that. I really relate, at least in this context, this drawing of the Empress with the expansion and with with something like that. So we can maybe guess and play for that for the next month. Something I would say, because it's in this like line, we also have the Hierophant, and I would go with the most literal, with the most literal meaning based on the visuals, but we can just see people gathering together around like a crystal ball in the middle. So I don't know, if it's something you are planning or something, but I would say that maybe there is potential of also doing something either in person or also in the realm of teaching or sharing, with another kind of structure. I'm just saying this because, of course, we're talking about the Hierophant, and we kind of tend to take this character as a teacher, as a guide, as a master, as a priest, as a etc., but as someone who is sharing knowledge, basically. And even here we are not seeing people like represented, but in here it's very clear we have not just one person, but we have 5. And if you are 2, it just makes me think that maybe there can be also the opportunity to a gathering, or again a workshop, or something. This also looks like a theater or like a tent or something like this. So we can also think of either a festival or a conference, or I don't know, any kind of like setting where what you do basically can be shared with the right people. The thing of which people are we talking about, I think it's also important in the Hierophant, because it's not the same if a priest is talking to skeptics, people who don't believe in anything, skeptics, or if they are just, or if a priest is talking to the people who have faith.
That one reminded me, before I could tell what it properly was, my first thought was of a spaceman, like an old sort of spaceman helmet floating in space. And then my second thought was of it as a television, like a sort of, like again, like kind of quite a retro looking kind of TV screen, but that kind of fits with the idea of it like a theatre or a,
Yeah.
you know, kind of something being watched by people, you know.
I will add
didn't know what the
something.
curtains were.
That's
on.
brilliant. I will add something to that if it's okay, which is if we think of the idea of this as a screen or as a display, you know, kind of like a theater or something like this, we can think of streaming.
Yeah.
You know, we're
yeah,
talking of a podcast and it's evolving from something that it's air, you know,
Yeah.
air
Yeah.
as like very words, abstract, whatever, and it's maybe expanding into something where this can, you know, it can be seen in a different way or exposed or shown in a different way.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that reading.
That was great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. That fits quite nicely with a couple of things that we've discussed like in the last week.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
which is really cool. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Thank you very
Streaming,
much. I really
guys.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Image,
It's the future.
image.
The problem is that we can't edit our mistakes out of streaming. That's the problem.
That's amazing.
Bel, one thing that I've been meaning to ask you, the quite often in things I've done involving tarot cards or things that me and Hine have done involving tarot cards, there's been instances where when I'm involved, the devil card will jump out. The
Happens a
devil
lot.
card just seems to pop up for me all the time. What are your thoughts on that? Be gentle.
Well,
Am I going to be okay? I'm not going to die at 72. Yeah.
I just don't want
can
to be
handle it.
near you. I don't want to. Don't come close to me.
Yeah.
No, I would say, you know, what I would say is, I'm not sure I have a specific like meaning to give you, but what I would say is, why don't you start taking the devil with you? Why don't you just decide to grab the card and put it on your pocket and just let it be closer? Because if it's appearing and wants to come, and again, I am not saying that the card in itself will do something. Some of us will believe it will do.
Yeah.
But even if we're trying to think of it in a more just logical way, just you being aware that that's there probably will make you generate connections and links with things that might be happening in your life. Therefore, you might be able to add a meaning to why it's coming. Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say that the devil card in the clarity deck is slightly different, isn't it? Because is that not the one that's sort of like going into a tunnel with the eyes all around it? Then you
This sounds cool. This sounds really cool.
It's a lot
Let
less.
me
It
show
speaks
you.
to me a lot less of being chained and more embarking on something.
Yes. I am just looking. Yes. In this version, it's the other way around. It's interesting because in the other one, in the white one, imagine that the character is actually entering into a very dark space.
Yeah.
But in this deck, it's the opposite, which is it sits very different in readings, you know, to see this where the character is actually getting illuminated, especially when it comes close to other cards where we see darkness around.
It almost feels like a Miltonian interpretation of the devil, you know, as in intelligence and enlightenment and knowledge.
How do we know which direction the character's walking in?
We don't know.
Is the character walking towards the light or out of the light or darkness? So many questions.
Yeah.
So many questions.
I'm going to have to buy the clarity deck because I feel
you will
that
have
is...
to.
Yeah, I'm going to have to buy the clarity deck and put that one in my pocket.
Do that now.
Here it's it's the other one, and I just think
it looks like Close Encounters or something. It looks like a sort of UFO abduction, or the cover of Close Encounters. Do you know what I mean? That is cool. That is a cool picture.
No, that's one of my favorite cards from the clarity deck.
Yeah.
Thank you.
one kind of general question that I came up with last night that I was just really interested in is kind of what role do you think tarot has in the modern day, in like 2024, because we're so science led now, and people, there's not a lot of religion or mysticism in the same way as there used to be, and it does feel like it's lacking from day to day life. Like, what do you think? How do you think, I suppose, tarot could benefit mainstream society in 2024?
What a great question. So, I think nowadays it's re-enchanting the world. Like, at least for me, it's like, I don't think, as contrary with what many people would say, I don't think it's just like, oh, tarot is just becoming mainstream now. And like, I really doubt that, because it's, well, maybe with tarot, now I'm contradicting myself, but I'm thinking of it in terms of also astrology, for example, how it's like, oh, now astrology and tarot are mainstream. And like, it was, if I'm not wrong, I think it was like in 1920s when the first horoscope on the newspapers came out. So if you start like thinking of it, it's like, are we always thinking it's getting mainstream? And then it's like, so yeah. I would say that, at least for me, it's the recovering the playfulness, recovering the idea of re-enchanting, or there is something there that at least I am attracted to in nowadays. I think today it's very psychological, the approach that loads of people have to tarot. And, I think it's just a phase, in the same way that maybe, I don't know, in 1920s it was very ritualistic and Golden Dawn and the occult and blah blah blah, and maybe now it's like people are really trying to use it, like mixing with psychology concepts.
I mean, I think when I hold the Clarity deck, for me the Clarity deck is a magical deck, that's the way I see it. I mean, like, I know that there's various ways that you can apply psychology and whatever to tarot readings. I've got a few books about that, but the tarot deck for me is magic in the Clarity deck. There's absolutely no doubt, and that is definitely something that I really, really love about that particular deck, and I really would urge people to go out and get themselves one. So what's next for you? I don't think we should downplay the fact that you've worked in together with some massive companies in your career, haven't you? Like I think Warner Music, Royal Academy of Arts, the Victor Wynne Museum, Watkins Books, Glamour Magazine, to name just a few. I mean, that's an incredible way to make a living from doing something like this. What are you doing next?
Well, if the student finance comes to terms with me, I am going to start studying psychology to try to apply it to tarot. So that's where I'm going. It's a bit weird, but that's hopefully where I'm going. I mean, I love what I do, and I always joke that tarot is like my longest relationship. Like, it's, I'm in love with tarot, and I think tarot is in love with me as well. So I really want to go into that field to keep enriching tarot, really. Like, that's my main reason behind it. Like, I don't see myself doing anything different. And for now, like, I just would like to keep finding, let's say, other mediums for divination. Again, the residency, which I started in 2021, is really helping me. Like, I run that twice a year, and it's really inspiring. Like, I really feel that tarot that it's, it's 2D, like it's in a piece of paper. It kind of really takes shape and life and form. And I'm a painter by hobby and I'm a dancer by hobby. So for me, it's like I also want to keep expanding tarot, at least for myself, like outside of the cards more and more and more. So that's where I'm going. In more like practical terms, if everything goes okay, I might be starting a career now in psychology. I'm going to still be working. I work for She's Lost Control. I work for Bless. I'm also doing readings at a place called Chérie Amour here in Hackney Wick. It's like a boat. And I kind of want to keep teaching and doing sessions and
Do you think when you study psychology, do you think that tarot will lose the magic, or do you think that you'll still be able to find some magic there in the tarot?
To be honest, I think I have so many. That's a thing. I'm writing, which I don't think I can write, but I am writing. And I'm writing about, I have like almost 20, I have 22, like the Major Arcanas. I have 22 stories of very crazy things that happen to me in readings, but like things where I have no explanation, no logical explanation. And I have discussed this with my friends who are psychologists, or friends who are like Mark or Julian Bain, who are, as like chaos magicians, or like, and I love filling my brain with different explanations. At the end of the day, I'm there and I am in love with the extraordinary. So I don't think it will lose. I don't know. Hopefully, it doesn't lose the magic. I will try my best for keeping it weird. No, I love that. That's lovely.
Amazing. So where can people find you online, and where can people go if they want to get a reading from you? Where can people find the Clarity deck?
Yes. So Clarity deck, the Spanish version, they can find it in every place where they sell books or decks, or they go on Google and they will find different bookshops and Amazon and places like that, or they can buy it from me on my website. I will spell it by Bel Senlle, so it's Belensennlle. And my Instagram, people can go. I teach, I do sessions. They can come in person if they are in London to She's Lost Control, Bless, or my studio here in Hackney Wick. And I'm there.
Fantastic. Can you, I usually do this in a slightly different order, but can you recommend any books or anything like that, or any particular, music or TV shows or documentaries or podcasts or YouTube channels or anything like that? There
is a book I really want to recommend because I especially selected it for this podcast. It's in English, it's called Our Share of the Night.
Wow.
Our Share of the Night. And in Spanish, Nuestra Parte de Noche. It's by Mariana Enriquez, which she's an Argentinian writer, which is like, I don't know why, but no, I know why. She's incredible. That's why. But she became massive. As in it was one of these phenomenon that it's in a couple of years, she got translated into many languages, all their books. She became like a rock star, kind of.
Wow.
Basically, I want to recommend the book because she writes horror, and I love reading horror. I really, really like books where I feel I think I need to leave it, I think I need to put it on the side and come back later. And this is one of the last ones I read where I felt that where I can say I felt fear reading a book. The thing why for me was like, okay, for the podcast, well, because basically she mixes all sorts of things that I think you or the people who listen to the podcast might be interested into. It's based on a cult, which is, the book is based in between London and Buenos Aires and Argentina, another part that is not Buenos Aires but Argentina. It mixes a cult that is very much influenced by telema. I mean, she doesn't say that, but if you are familiarized with that, you will immediately be like, this woman studied everything, even though she's a writer and she's not an occultist or something, but she really studied the things. So it's very inspired in the Golden Dawn as well. It touches on the dictatorships in Latin America, colonialism mixed with occultism, and all in a very fantastic way, as in like it's pure fantasy how she makes people disappear like in the dictatorship periods, but the ones who are catching up, those are egregores made by, so it's really, really cool and clever, and a great book.
That sounds great. Amazing. I'm really into reading a lot of fiction at the moment, so I'm going to put that on my list.
Amazing. Thank you very much. And if anyone out there would like to listen to more Vayse, you can find us. We're on Twitter and Instagram. That's at Vayse and then Vayse spelled backwards. So that's at VAYSEESYAV. Our website is www.vayse.co.uk. You can get the podcast on all the major podcasting platforms, but only on our website does it have the full show notes. Keith works very hard on those, and they are exquisite. You can email us if you have any ideas for the podcast, or if you've had any experiences of your own, and that's vayse.info@gmail.com. You can get the soundtrack done by our very own Stephen James Buckley under the name Polypores, and that is available Volume 1 and Volume 2 on Bandcamp. You can link to that on our website. If you want to support the podcast, you can buy that music, or you can catch up with us on Ko-Fi. And if you give a regular donation on Ko-Fi, you can join our Discord, where there's lots of interesting people doing lots of interesting things. I really do love it on there at the moment. So thank you very, very much for joining us, Bel. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been so nice. It's the first time we've done a live tarot reading on the podcast. I think it's the first time we've properly discussed tarot on the podcast, to be honest, which is quite amazing considering we've been going we've been recording for nearly 2 years now.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem at all. One more question before you go. So out of any person, living or dead, who would you most like to give a tarot reading to?
Yes. Austin Osman Spare.
AOS. Nice.
It's a solid choice.
Austin Osman Spare.
Yeah.
Yes, I just received the deck.
Oh yeah, his deck.
I got that.
Literally, it just arrived to me, and I'm so happy, to be seeing the visual language connecting between the cards as well. I'm like, this man, I really wish he's alive, and I could at least invite him for a beer and read his cards. And,
His artwork is amazing.
Yeah. Have you done any readings with his deck?
No, because I've just received it literally, I think on Thursday or something. So I've been playing with it myself, but I haven't done readings yet. I'm still developing.
It's a lovely
that's
deck.
the person.
It really is. Yeah.
I would love to.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll do what I can to make that happen. I can't promise anything.
And next week on Vayse, we have a necromancer.
That could be great.
Oh, thank you so much. I think that's it.
Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure, really. Thank you, honestly.
Stop the recording.